Thank you for coming to my event. I'll be covering self-care and why it's important to prioritize self-care, as well as some self-care practices. So thank you for attending and please enjoy. So starting off with a little bit of an introduction. Who am I? So I'm a student at Lehigh University and I'm studying computer science and business. And at neolth this summer, I'm an outreach and engagement intern. And I'm very passionate about the connection between physical, mental, and emotional health. I actually have like a personal food and wellness blog on Instagram where I share a bunch of different recipes and self-care practices, whether that's like exercise, journaling, baking, cooking, just a bunch of things that I really love to do because I think that that's really important to find something that you like to do and just be really passionate about it and make sure that it's like a form of self-care, but it's also something that you enjoy. So I'm just really passionate about helping others find that and what works for them. So what we will cover today, we will cover why prioritizing self-care leads to success, both as a student, as an athlete, as a coworker, as a friend, and just as an individual. And then also I'll share some stress management techniques and practices. And hopefully you guys will be able to share some too and maybe learn from the group. Maybe try something that you heard someone mention that you never really thought of before. Like if someone mentions journaling and you're like, oh, like I've really wanted to try that for a long time. Hopefully you'll be able to try that and hopefully it works for you and it's something that you can incorporate into your routine. So also I want you guys to be able to discover enjoyable self-care practices and just stuff that makes you feel good and makes you feel happy. So self-care to success. One of the main reasons why self-care is so important is because it helps you stay focused. So when you have a clear mind, it can help you solve problems. So sometimes I feel like a lot of people have a lot of problems and they're getting very overwhelmed and very stressed. But they don't really realize that they have to step back and really try and dig and find the root of the problem. And it'll be much easier to do that with a clear mind. So maybe even if you just set aside 5-10 minutes to just relax, maybe do a few stretches, meditate, even if it's just taking like 1 or 2 deep breaths. It'll really clear your mind to help you solve problems and make you more focused so that you can really tackle what's ahead of you. It also helps you better know yourself and your needs. So often when we engage in self-care practices, we do them because we like them and because we want to do them. So that'll really help you understand your hobbies, what you like to do, what makes you feel good, what makes your body feel good, and kind of like intuitively doing the practices that you know work for you. I think another big thing about self-care is it also helps you manage stress. So self-care can be a really helpful break to help you break up stressful situations. So let's say you're in school and maybe you just want like a nice relaxing lunch break and maybe talk with a couple friends. That's a good break. Or just like taking a few deep breaths, maybe closing your computer for a little bit and taking time to stretch for 5 minutes or meditating or even just writing down your thoughts. If you like journaling, which is like provides a really good break if you have anything that's stressing you out. And then it also helps you self-reflect. So you could, like I said before, really discover the root of your problems and just kind of understand where those problems are stemming from and maybe how to resolve them because you'll be in a more relaxed and calm mindset and you'll be able to think clearly in order to really discover the root of your problems. So another thing that self-care does, it helps to increase your energy. So acts of self-kindness actually release feel-good neurochemicals into your body. So it'll make your body knows that you're caring for yourself and taking time to relax and restore. And it's just really good because it releases those chemicals. It makes you feel good and it makes you want to do these practices more often because those will make you feel good. So it also helps you take energy away from stressors and put it towards something else. So a lot of times people are very stressed and all their energy is going into what they think is maybe the problem and just what's really stressing them out and they're overthinking that. But if you actually take time to relax and engage in self-care practices, maybe you will be less stressed so that you could take that energy and you can put it towards something else. So whether that be athletics or school or maybe just like building relationships with family and friends is another thing that you can take your energy and put it towards when you're not stressed instead of putting it toward whatever is making you very stressed. So moving on to stress management, I often stress the importance of finding what works for you. So maybe someone loves running and that works for them. I know personally I love to go run, I love to walk, I love to color, but that might not always work for other people. So I know some other people really like meditation or deep breathing or journaling, or some people wake up and go stretch in the morning, or even waking up and making yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of matcha, or just some practice that you always look forward to that's easy for you to incorporate into your daily routine and your daily life. And that doesn't mean that it has to take a long time. So even something as simple as like getting some sun in the morning, you could do that while you're eating breakfast, or maybe while you're catching up on emails, responding to things, even reading the news or something that simple. It really doesn't have to be complicated, and you can find ways, even just squeeze in 5 to 10 minutes of self care a day really makes a difference. So, some things that can help you discover different types of hobbies or practices that work for you, joining a new sports team or club. So, I remember in high school, 2 years in, I decided to join cross country and track, and I really knew nothing about running before. I was never a runner. I'd always done swim in the past, so I really had no experience. But just having that other activity and really trying that out, I actually found that that was one of my hobbies. And right now, I use that as a form of self care for me. So, putting yourself out there and trying something new, even if you don't expect it to work at first, I think is really worthwhile. Just finding different practices that you might have not thought would really help you or be beneficial to you can actually take you by surprise and be something that you turn to all the time now to um, relieve any stress or tension. And then also trying a new form of art or crafts. I know some people love knitting, some people just love coloring. I personally really like those coloring books that are like really articulate and just like taking a couple minutes to color, or maybe if you like to sew or you like to paint or you like to crochet, even like making friendship bracelets or something like that, I know is relaxing for a lot of people. And also just talking with friends and family about how they manage their stress. I feel like you can get a lot of inspiration from that. Um, like I know my mom, she loves doing bar classes, and sometimes I'll do those with her, and that's really helpful for me to help manage my stress and also just take time away from something else and just have like, even if it's like half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, just so that I can really focus on myself and take a little break. And then after that, it's so much easier for me to focus and just think about what I have to do for that day. And after I do my self care for the day, I feel like it really just sets me up to have a more productive and successful day, especially because I know that I'll be less stressed throughout that because I did take time to focus on myself and my needs. And I think something about self care is that it is especially important for students. So, students really need a clear headspace to help improve focus. So, I know for me, I can't really focus or do anything if I have so many thoughts in my head and I'm stressing out about a lot of stuff. Like, if I'm very stressed at night and I have so much stuff to do, I rather just go to sleep and get a good night's sleep and wake up early and do it the next morning, because I know if I don't have a clear headspace, I won't be able to focus. So, engaging in self care practices, like I said before, maybe something like going on a walk or just taking a few deep breaths, or maybe even stretching a little bit. Maybe even just talking with friends can give you a clearer headspace, even if you have to take those thoughts and maybe just like rant or tell someone else about them, or maybe let others know how you're feeling. I think it's also really important to just be able to communicate that, because when you have a clear headspace, you do have better focus. And then that in turn can help you become less stressed. And then also, when you're less stressed, like as I said before, you have more energy to put towards other things. So whether that be sports, extracurriculars, maybe you're involved in some clubs or some sports teams in school, or even if it's just like maintaining good relationships. So when you're less stressed and you take time to care for yourself, you become less irritable, so less moody. You won't really be like irritated or like uptight a lot. So it really helps to maintain good relationships and friendships, which is really important because you want your relationships and friendships to be sustainable and last. And if you're always stressed out and always irritable, people won't really want to be surrounded by that. So it might turn some people away. So just making sure that you really manage your stress can not only help you, but could also help the people you interact with. And maybe they're feeling really stressed too. So if you're like relaxed and calm, maybe you can help them through whatever stress they're feeling as well. And then you can kind of share things that work for you and maybe help them figure it out as well. So I think it's really important to help you maintain good relationships or friendships, or just like any kind of relationship you have, whether that be with family or friends or creating new relationships. And then also self care just allows for rest. I think students, we always try and do so much, whether that be sports, extracurriculars, like maybe you're signing up for all the advanced classes or trying to do like an internship, plus a job, plus summer classes, plus like social time. It can really just add up and be a lot. I know I have a problem with like saying no to plans or like activities or sports or clubs. So I always like overbook myself and I don't really realize that I need time for rest. So it's really important to give yourself rest and allow your body to reset and recover. Like even as athletes, that's why so many of them have scheduled in rest days because it's really important. And when you rest and recover your body, you have so much more energy to put toward what's really important. And when it's time to like go hard or play hard, you really do have that energy and you can put it towards that instead of dreading when you actually have to do work or do something hard in like sports or extracurriculars. You could actually look forward to it and enjoy it because you'll be rested, you'll be relaxed, and you'll have that clear headspace and that focus in order to excel at whatever you want to do. Okay, so moving on to a little bit of an activity, I want you guys to think of some ways in which you take care of yourself. So if you could think of a practice or an activity that's enjoyable for you, maybe think about why do you like that activity or that practice, and how does it make you feel? And then we could share those out. If anyone would just like to type in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and maybe just share an activity that you really like. It doesn't even have to be like what you think of when you think of self care. It could really just be anything. So for me, I know I love to run and I love to bake. So if anyone wants to unmute themselves and share out or just put something in the chat, that would be great.
I would say my biggest hobby slash self-care is definitely anything music related. I really like playing instruments and listening to music, and that's always been really relaxing for me.
Yeah, that's a great one. I have a lot of family members who like to play the guitar, play the piano, and I know personally I just love listening to music, even if I'm driving or just sitting at home. It really helps me. So that's a good one. Anyone else have any ideas? Ooh, Thea said creative activities like arts and working with horses and dogs. That's really cool. I love like hanging out with animals too. I also love arts and crafts. Ooh, and writing and journaling. I love to journal. I do it. I feel like whenever I journal in the morning, it just helps me. Like I have such a clear headspace and it really helps me set up the rest of my day. I always love writing to-do lists or even writing just like affirmations, or just journaling down my thoughts, maybe like summarizing my day and what I felt that day, I think is really helpful. So those are all good ones. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Oh, and someone, ooh, stretching and then skincare while listening to a playlist or a podcast. I love doing that. Skincare, honestly, for me is so therapeutic. I feel like just finding new products that work for you, or like even like in your skincare routine. I honestly could do it like all day. I think it's so fun and just like listening to my favorite music too. And I've also recently been getting into podcasts. So I think that's a great form of self care and a great way to just relax and take time for yourself. Thank you everyone for sharing. So based on what the group said, and then also if you've ever had any activities like in the back of your mind that you really wanted to do. So I've listed a few here. So I want you guys to all just think of something that you might want to try. And I'm actually going to send out a form in about 2 weeks for everyone who did attend. So just think of an activity you want to try and maybe try that out for like 2 weeks, try and incorporate it in your daily routine. And I'm just going to send out like a feedback form and just see if it worked for you guys and how you guys are feeling after incorporating that. And if you stuck with it. So it's always good to try out new things. And just some ideas I listed, which I've like mentioned some already, and some of you guys have mentioned some as well. Meditating and yoga, journaling, starting a new show or a new form of exercise or sport. So I know someone mentioned skincare, someone else mentioned like arts and crafts, which are all perfect and great. So if you guys want to get inspiration from that, or just something that you've thought if you like that you've been wanting to do for a long time, and just try and stick with it for 2 weeks and then see if you actually like it and you can incorporate that into your daily routine would be great. So that's kind of like the next part I have for you guys. So the challenge, try and incorporate whatever that new activity or practice is into your daily or weekly routine, even if you don't do it every day. So for me, something like maybe like running or baking. I'm not going to do that every single day, but even if I do it like 2 to 3 times a week, at least I have like time blocked out for it. So like if you want to do something like journaling or skincare, I think for me, like I would do that every day, but something else, maybe like running or trying a new sport, even if you just incorporate it like 1 or 2 times a week, that could also be very beneficial and very helpful as well. And like as I said before, I'll send out a form in a couple of weeks with results and feedback, just for you guys to share which activities you like best, maybe what you tried, and then how you stuck with that, like how it's made you feel. Has it helped with any stress or help you tackle any of your problems or made you feel any more relaxed? So I'll be sending that out. And then if you needed any inspiration for how to incorporate these new practices, I feel like a lot of times people hear like, oh, like you can meditate, you can journal, but it's like, yeah, like when am I going to do that? Like I'm already so busy. I don't have time to go to the gym or go on a run, or maybe it's like too expensive to get a gym membership, or I don't have time to cook breakfast. I just pick something up on the go because I'm always in a rush out the door in the morning. So something I really love to do is incorporate new practices into my morning routine, even if that's sacrificing like 5 or 10 extra minutes of sleep. Just setting my alarm a little bit earlier personally really helps. I know that when I wake up earlier and save time to maybe meditate or journal or stretch, and just something like cooking myself a breakfast that I really love instead of rushing out the door and going to grab something, I think is really beneficial and really helps me personally set myself up for success. And incorporating something into your morning routine also gives you something to look forward to, so that when you go to sleep, you know that you can wake up the next morning and do something you love. So that also kind of keeps me on track and gives me motivation to also have a good sleep schedule and just really wake up looking forward to whatever I'm doing. And I feel like when you look forward to what you're doing first thing in the morning, it kind of helps set the tone and the mood for the rest of the day, so that you can end up looking forward to your entire day, which I feel like is really important. And then another way that you can incorporate these new practices is maybe on the weekends. So, like I said before, it might not always be feasible to do a new activity every day or to run every day or to bake every day. But something you could do is maybe just incorporate those into the weekends. So, maybe every Saturday you like to play tennis with your friends, or on Sunday mornings you like to go and run, or maybe you try like a new place to hike every weekend, or even something like swimming. So stuff that you maybe can't incorporate every single day, but you definitely want to set aside some time on the weekends. That's still great. That's still a form of self-care, and it doesn't have to be every single day, but you could still do it maybe once or twice a week, and that's perfectly like beneficial and still helpful for your body, and in order to help you relax and really feel like you're taking care of yourself. So another way that you can incorporate this is during the work or school day. So these would be like smaller activities. Obviously, you wouldn't go to like the gym in the middle of a school day and just leave school for that, but you could always just go stretch, even if it's just for 5 minutes, or even just like stand up from whatever work you have. Maybe close your computer for a little bit. Doing something like that, even if it's just for 5 minutes, is really helpful. Something else you could do, I know even neolth has like a bunch of these practices as well. Just like deep breathing, you could look some up on YouTube. You could do the ones on neolth. You could just take a few deep breaths, think about something you love, maybe draw on memories in the past that made you happy, just something to help you increase your mood and boost your energy. And then also something that I think is really beneficial for people is like taking time offline, especially in the middle of the day, maybe for lunch. So sometimes people are just like having lunch in front of their computers or maybe while they do work. But I also think it's been very beneficial if you maybe like close your computer or take time offline, even away from your phone, because I feel like with everything being on our phone and all these technology, like we always have our access to our emails and messages, and sometimes that's really overwhelming. So just taking a break from all of that, maybe to enjoy lunch or grab coffee with someone, or just enjoy something midway your work or school day, could be very beneficial as well. And also give you something to look forward to, kind of to break up like all the work you have. So you'll be like, okay, like I'll do this chunk of work in the morning, then take a break, close my computer, no one can disturb me, and then resume back, and you'll have the energy to complete those hours of work or school later because you did have that time in the middle to kind of take a little break and reset. Just some information about neolth. So, how can neolth help with maybe like self care and prioritizing self care? So, they actually have a practice library, and I'll show you in the next few slides kind of how to access all this information. And there are also a bunch of self care activities, and you can actually add your own as well too, which is really cool. You can listen to student stories. So, I've listened to many different student stories through the app, and I thought some of them were very helpful. There's a bunch of them that I really like because I really like baking and cooking. So I know there's like a Cook With Me student series where you can just listen to other students and you can even get inspiration yourself from what they do and what makes them really feel good, and maybe try and implement those practices into your daily routine as well. Because I feel like hearing from other people and practices that work for them, you can kind of see it in action and they can show you how that worked for them and maybe some tips as to what they did that they thought was very helpful. And then you can also become a student ambassador and share your favorite self-care practices. So if you would like to make your own videos about maybe like your favorite self-care practices or how to help others just relax and de-stress, I think is a really good opportunity. And then on this next slide, this just shows you through the app how to navigate to those practices. So if you click on the practice tab at the bottom of the app, you can also do this on the website. And then you go to there's a practice library, and then I circled that. To the right of that, there's some self-care activities. And then there's this little like create new button, which you can click on, and then it'll take you to a practice where you can add your self-care activity. So like hiking, yoga, arts and crafts, or whatever you like. And you could also check off if it's just one time or if you keep doing it and if it's recurring. Just moving on to another practice that I really like, or something that I find really helpful when starting to brainstorm different types of self-care activities or hobbies. And this really also helps turn your like vision into a reality, because I feel like so many times people see like videos of other people like making their morning coffee and like ice rolling and then like meditating and journaling, but like they're like, oh, like how do I implement that? So I think like a vision board could be really helpful. So, some questions to think about when you create this is, how do you want to practice self care? What are some activities you already enjoy? And then, do you like to do these alone or with others? And how do you want these to make you feel? So, you guys don't have to create like a board right now or anything, but if you want to in the future, I know this is something I really like to do. It really also just helps you work intuitively, because it's something that you'll add like pictures of stuff that appeals to you and that looks good to you and looks fun to you. So it's really helping you think about what you want and getting you in tune to your needs and stuff that you really enjoy. Also, self care doesn't have to be, I think like a lot of people think that self care could sometimes be selfish, but it's really not, because when you take time to care for yourself, you'll be able to give more to other people and be able to be a better person and a more relaxed person. And you could also do these activities with other people. So something like I said before, maybe running or trying a new workout class. I know I love doing that with friends. So like my friend and I just tried a new class yesterday morning, and we enjoyed breakfast outside afterwards. So having that time to catch up with her and just both of us allowing each other to reflect and kind of be able to talk to each other and just walk each other through whatever we were feeling that day or that morning or like last night, I think is very helpful. Also, just if you're around family and friends, I feel like you can get a lot of inspiration for things that make them feel good, which you can in turn try and implement yourself. So this is just an example of a vision board that I made with a bunch of practices that I love. So as you can see, it's like a bunch of my favorite things. I did like cooking, some baking. I have a picture of a cafe because that's one thing I love to do, whether it be by myself or with friends, just trying out new spots with all my favorite foods in them. I think that that's so fun. And it's also a great way for me to break up my work day or my school day, having some place that I look forward to going to for lunch, even if it's making something at home. I also love to stretch. I love to run, as I mentioned before, going on walks, just all of this. So if you wanted to create a vision board yourself, I think that this is a really fun way. And it's also just really fun to look at and really cool to kind of just collect all of your thoughts and all have like all of your thoughts in one place. Also, so that you don't forget about any activities that you maybe wanted to try. So this is definitely very helpful. And on the next slide, I'm kind of going to explain more about it. So In terms of the vision board, like I mentioned before, it really helps you work intuitively since you want to visualize practices that you actually enjoy. So you wouldn't just be adding pictures of like random things that you wouldn't like because you wouldn't find that appealing. So it really helps you work intuitively, kind of tune into what your needs are and maybe like practices that you and your body are craving. And then you could also print it out or make it your wallpaper. I know a lot of people make it as like their lock screen on maybe their computer or their phone, just so you have something to reference whenever you're stressed. So I know personally, like making it my computer lock screen, if I'm ever on my computer doing work and I'm stressed, I could just look at it and maybe it'll remind me. I'll see like a picture of someone stretching and be like, maybe like my neck is a little tight or I'm a little sore. Maybe I should just go stretch or just stand up or maybe take a few deep breaths. Or I'll see a book, like a picture of a book, and I'll be like, oh, like I haven't read today. Maybe I should read a few pages. And then that'll kind of help me like refocus and set myself up for the day. So I think it'll be like really helpful. If you ever want to try and create these, you could do like a new one every month, maybe do a new one every year. It's really up to you, but I think that it's another really helpful thing that at least I enjoy a lot and I think is really cool. So, kind of wrapping up the event, some takeaways. Obviously, this event was about prioritizing self care, and I went through a lot. So, first of all, I just wanted to emphasize that it really does lead to better focus. I feel like when you take time for yourself and really focus on your needs, you can kind of just refocus and take away all that stress and maybe anything that was stressing you out or that was kind of overwhelming you. You can kind of push to the side, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, and really just refocus and be able to tackle whatever else you have. Because I know we're all super busy, and sometimes that kind of takes over our life, just trying to do as much as we can. But being able to refocus is super important. And also, will just practicing stuff like that in order to help you refocus will only be beneficial to you in the future because you'll know how to kind of manage your stress and all of the activities that you have to do. And then, like I said before, prioritizing self care also makes you a better individual. So, whether that's a student, an athlete, a coworker, a friend, it really just helps you become a more relaxed person. You'll be less irritable, or you'll be able to really be a leader and help other people out. Maybe because you know things that work for you, and you'll be able to relay that information or those practices onto other people. Um, Also like how it leads to better focus and allows you to have more energy. That'll really help you whether it's in a school setting or an athletic setting or even in your workplace because you'll be able to really focus on the tasks you have at hand instead of your mind like being all over the place. You'll just really be able to hone in on what's important, and it'll also allow you to prioritize or maybe make a to-do list of what you have to do because you'll be able to actually think clearly in order to achieve all that. So, self care, another thing that it's really helpful for is boosting your mood and energy. So, I know that after maybe taking some time to like journal and write a to do list, or maybe exercising, like trying out a new class, or um, just like going on a walk for a little bit, I know that I feel so much happier after that, and that I always look forward to that feeling that I get after because it really just helps to boost my mood. I know I'm a much happier person after I like run or bake or do something that makes me feel really good, whether that be like skincare, arts and crafts, really anything. And it gives me a lot more energy. I usually like to take time for myself every morning because I know some people might do it like later in the day, but I feel like when I start off my morning with something that I really love and that I look forward to, it kind of helps set the mood and the tone for the rest of my day and gives me a high level of energy in the morning so that I could take that energy with me throughout the rest of the day and just really be a more like energetic person who's willing to help others through the same thing if anyone else is feeling stressed around me maybe. So, also, self care really allows you to focus on what makes you happy. So, like I mentioned before, you shouldn't feel like you have to do the same practices as everyone else. Maybe someone likes to journal, but that doesn't work for you, or someone really likes to meditate, but you just don't like yoga or meditation or anything. You really don't have to base your own needs and your practices off of what anyone else is telling you to do. It's really just whatever makes you happy. So, if that's like maybe playing a game on your computer or making yourself a latte in the morning, or maybe it's going out and buying yourself a latte. It's really just whatever makes you happy and whatever works for you, and you're the only person who's going to know that. So really just tuning into your needs and what you want to focus on really is one of the, I would say, most important parts of self-care, because it's all about you and what's going to make you feel good in the end. Because in the end of it, it's you're the person who wants to feel less stressed and have better focus and have a better mood. So it's really just going to be those practices that make you feel like your best self, and that those practices that are easy for you to do to make you feel good will be easier to incorporate into your routine, because you won't feel like, oh, this is another thing I have to do at hand. Like, you'll actually look forward to it. So it wouldn't be as much of like a task as it would be something that you look forward to. And that when you look forward to it, it's going to be a more sustainable practice, and you'll actually be able to incorporate it into your daily routine, because you won't feel like it's taking away from anything else, because that should be your priority, because that's what makes you feel good and that's what you look forward to. So that's all I have for today. I just want to thank everyone for joining. Thank you for taking the time. I know it's a Friday, almost the weekend, so very excited about that. If you were interested in being a student ambassador, I think these slides will be sent out after for everyone who joined the event. So I do have the sign up link there, and I want to thank you all for taking your time to sit with me and just really pay attention to this presentation. And I really hope you guys have gotten some inspiration from this, and also were able to find some self-care practices maybe that you want to try. I know a lot of people in the group shared some really amazing ideas and some things that even I want to try. So I hope you guys all find a practice that sticks with you and that you really love. So also, if you have any questions, feel free to stay on the Zoom. You can ask them now. I'm around. So thank you again, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day.